Okay, folks, I think we're going to kick off now. It's 2 minutes past three. So you're all very welcome. I can see some familiar names in the participants section, as well as some new names as well. So let me introduce myself. I'm Ray Grafton. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer with AI Certified. We have Amy Elliott, who's our co-host, and Amy is managing our student operations. Um, and I'd like to introduce our speaker today, who's none other than our founder and CEO of AI Certified. Ian is really going to talk to us about. I suppose many of you will know him from the Digital Marketing Institute days, and that's where the story will begin. How he scaled it to over 100,000 customers worldwide, effectively writing the playbook for how organizations upskill at scale. So when it comes to helping teams actually adopting new technology, that's what we were doing back in 2008 with the Digital Marketing Institute. And very similar, we're going to be talking about how people adopt the latest new technology, which is AI. So most AI rollouts really don't fail because of technology. They fail because of people. And Ian's going to walk through how to implement AI effectively from the bottom up, why an employee-led approach beats a top-down mandate, and how to build a practical framework for adoption and where to start without overcomplicating things. Just before I introduce Ian, I'd like to also mention our next webinar coming up. And this will be a series of webinars, and it's quite topical, I think. So on the 2nd of August, the EUA Act is going to start to bite all of us, and particularly Article 4 around the AI literacy duty has actually been in effect since February last year. So if your people are using AI and they're already in scope, from August, national regulators within Ireland can start enforcing it. So here's the catch. The recent omnibus changes have left, I suppose, a lot of leaders unsure what actually applies now versus what's been pushed into 2027. And that confusion is stalling decisions and in some cases deals. So on the 16th of July, if I could ask you all to mark that in your calendar, we're launching a short EUA Act series. This will be plain English, no kind of scaremongering. It'll be exactly what applies to your business, what to do about it, and how to turn it into a trust asset that wins work. So that's 2 weeks out. Put it in your diary. It'll be the I suppose the clearest hour you've spent on this all year. And we've got a couple of subject matter experts as well as Ian and myself to speak to you about it. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to Ian Dodson, who's going to be hosting today's seminar.
Great, thanks a million. Afternoon, everybody. Thanks a million for giving us your time. I'm going to be as sharp and as focused and as succinct as possible. I will remove all the waffle and I will keep the funny stories till the end, till everyone's gone. So what I will do is I want to share my screen. I'll give you a quick overview of what I'm going to cover today. And there's a couple of key takeaways that I just want you to go away from. In fact, you know what? Let me talk to you about the key takeaway right now. First of all, in these early heady days of AI, as everyone runs around with their hair on fire, and we're all told that the next greatest thing is around the corner, and we're missing something. I just want to reassure everybody that I am, what age am I now? 56. So let's see, this is the AI revolution. And I've been through the digital marketing revolution, and I've been through the dot-com revolution. I've been through the client server revolution, the mainframe revolution, and every one of these great technical leap forwards in our digital journey over the past 30, 40 years have been the greatest thing and the greatest change. And they're going to disrupt everything, change everything, turn everything on its head. Change the world, and you're mad and you're crazy if you're not keeping up. So I'd first of all just like to say to everyone, calm down. It's okay. We are going to survive this just like we've survived everything else, because we have some well-worn paths and some well-worn tools that we can resort to, and well-worn approaches that we can lean on again in order to make sense of what is another technical evolution or revolution, for want of a better phrase. The world is not going to end. Work is not going to end. Learning is not going to end. Our jobs are not going to end. Every great movement in digital over the past, go back to the 50s, has resulted in greater economic growth, not less. Yes, jobs have changed, but jobs are still jobs. Yes, industries have changed, but industries are still industries, and there's huge change. I was talking the other day to someone who was in the travel industry, and if any one of you are old enough to remember the explosion of .com back around 1998, 1999, travel agents were literally shuttering and closing their doors, and it was the end of the world. It was the end of the travel industry. Funnily enough, the global travel industry has increased in size almost fourfold since the late 90s, since those heady days of .com. Employment in that industry has never been higher. People are never traveling more than they are now, and travel agents are thriving. So let's just keep our heads in terms of where we think this is going. There will be a shakeout, there will be an evolution, but and then, of course, there'll be a necessary backlash. But I just want to reassure people that there are mechanisms through which we can make sense of this and grab hold of it and put it to work for us. And that's really what I want to do. So that's number one. We need to keep our heads. Number two, the key to successful adoption of AI right now is your own domain knowledge, your own abilities and knowledge. And the most successful use of AI right now is when you apply it to your own experience and skills. What we have right now is we have supercomputing at our fingertips. In essence, that's what it is. Everyone right now is talking about the intelligence part, but what they're forgetting is the most important part, which is it's not intelligence, it's pattern recognition. And it is pattern recognition through supercomputing being applied to a problem. So right now, what you have is a massive increase in compute power that you've never had before. You think your computer is good, you think it can do wonderful things. Now you have a cloud-based supercomputer at your beck and call for $20 or €20 a month. So it's got massive potential. And the most effective and important way that you can implement and apply that is on your own skill set, in your own domain area, with your own knowledge and experience. Why is that? Because you're not qualified to talk about anything else. It's as simple as that. Stick to your knitting, stick to what you know. Can you learn anything on AI? Of course you can. Can you find out about anything? Absolutely. If I wanted to cure kidney cancer tomorrow, first place I'd go would be AI, and I would ask it, give me all the latest developments in cures and treatments for kidney cancer, and I would learn phenomenal amount of information about what's going on. But I'm not an oncologist or a doctor or a medic. And so therefore, my judgment of what it produces is useless and meaningless. Might be fascinating information, but only an oncologist is going to be able to look at it and say, well, actually, yeah, that's true, but it doesn't work, and that's fine, but it's not got there yet, and that's good, but it hasn't been proved or tested, and that's working, but not the way it says. So the key here, the key to using this phenomenal resource and this phenomenal tool is make sure you are using it in your own domain area where you have knowledge and experience so that you can validate what it produces, so that you can know whether, oh, that's meaningful. I have friends who have businesses who have used AI and have said, oh, I got it to generate a fantastic marketing plan. Fantastic. And for someone who's not in marketing, they read the marketing plan and it sounds incredible. It sounds amazing. But as soon as a marketing person reads it, they go, well, that's not really going to work. Wrong audience, wrong approach, wrong messaging, wrong call to action. So the most important health warning I can put over it right now is, as you move into AI, as you get into AI, as you get involved in AI, stick to your knitting, because not only is that the area you're qualified to talk about, but it will put rocket boosters on your work and your capability. One of the best descriptions I've heard of AI came from Accenture recently. And it was the head of AI in Accenture. And he said that AI is a force multiplier for competence. And if I was to get you to take anything away from today, that would be one of the key takeaways. AI is a force multiplier for competence. If you take your competence, your knowledge, your experience, and you strap AI to it, you can literally multiply your impact and your effect, both positively or negatively, and we'll come to that. So I'm going to pop some slides up on the screen. I'm not going to kill you with PowerPoint, and I'm going to keep it moving along at a fair pace. What I will do is I will encourage people to, if you really want to jump in because there's something burning that you want to say or ask, definitely throw up a flag in the chat there. And what I might do is answer your question or definitely avoid it, or kick it out to the end, and then we can have a chat, and I'm happy to do that as well. So let me just share some slides here for a moment, real quick. There we go. So we've heard this phrase, human in the loop, and we've now evolved it to human in the lead. And that's very much the thrust of what I want to talk to you about today is where do I fit in this AI shenanigans? Where do I fit? Where does my role fit? Where do I fit as a human being? What's it going to do to my role, my responsibilities, my job, my department, my company, my marketplace, and my economy? And that's what I want to try and do. I have the privilege of leading a phenomenal bunch of people in AI certified. And our goal is quite simple, really. It is to fill the skills gap. Right now, what we're seeing is across all demographics, across all professions, across all markets, across all businesses, is there's a skills gap. There is a technology which is available to us, and we are grappling with it. We are ignoring it. We're chatting about it, talking about it, but for the most part, we're still not grabbing hold of it properly yet. And the single life raft or stabilizing force, which I want you to think about in the face of any technical revolution or technological revolution, is education. Education is the silver bullet for whatever ails you, your business, your town, your country, your society, your economy. And knowledge is power at the end of the day. There are good things about AI. There are bad things about AI. There were good things about the internet and bad things about the internet. There were good things about social media and bad things about social media. The ostrich approach won't work, and better to be ahead of the curve and understand what's coming rather than to be a victim underneath the wave of tech as it hits, and it will hit. So our role here, and my experience, and what I suppose entitles me to sit here and talk about this is I was lucky enough to be the co-founder of an Irish business called the Digital Marketing Institute. And it is now probably one of the most widely taught digital marketing certification standards in the world. We went, myself and another reprobate called Anthony Quigley, started with a couple of hot desks, and now DMI has well past maybe 120, 130,000 customers around the world. If I can give you an example, the American Marketing Association, which has a few million members, uses the DMI certification standard as their qualification standard for when people want to learn marketing and digital marketing. It's that DMI standard. Ireland has always punched above its weight in education, and we are prolific exporters of education and certification programs all over the world. And AI Certified is the next step in that. And just like in DMI, we have received incredible support from Enterprise Ireland in order to codify a set of standards, a set of certifications, so that basically we help AI to grow up. AI right now is exactly where the web was in 99. It's exactly where digital marketing was in 2009. People running around with their hair on fire, companies chasing revenue, chasing innovation, and no one knowing what does all this mean or where it's going. So our goal then, and my goal now, is to create a set of certifications, a set of qualifications that the three key stakeholders can coalesce around. So learners, educators, and employers. I'm a learner. We're all learners. We're all educators. We're all actually employers as well. But if you think of the traditional view of that world, so someone who wants to learn something, they want to go to an educator, a college, or a training company that teaches them something that will get them a job with an employer. Educators, colleges, universities want to teach students stuff that will make them keep them relevant in the jobs marketplace. And employers want to employ students who have learned something that's meaningful. So the single currency that flows between those three groups of people is certification, is the industry coalescing around a set of certifications so that we can know what does it mean to be AI certified. And that's what we've done in AI certified, created that set of standards, a modular certification framework, and wrapped a professional support framework around it. And also included in that is what I'm covering in today's deck, which is a blueprint for AI and for it to, framework, network, and work. How do we approach AI? How do we grab hold of it? How do we make sense of it? How do we adopt it in a meaningful way that isn't based on hype or fear, but is actually something that we can cement into our business? So, without further ado, then, this is our qualifications framework. All of this information is on becomeaicertified.com. If you want further details, you can chat to us or Ray at the end, or go to the website and fill out a form. I'm not going to labor that, but ultimately, what we do is we provide people with an entry point. The single phrase I hear most of all right now when it comes to AI is, "Where do I start?" And what's happening is we're starting with tools. The next tool, the next ad you see on Instagram as you're doom scrolling, and suddenly up comes a tool that says, "Oh, you can reduce your X by 50%. You can increase your Y by 70%. You can do this magic with a song. You can do this magic with whatever. You can create these tools. Oh, you're way behind the curve. You should be doing this." And we we jump in by adopting a tool or by playing with a tool. And my single question to you is, and my single comment to you about the plethora of tools that are appearing right now is, as more and more people learn AI, more and more people are able to build more and more tools. So here's a simple litmus test that you can apply to all the tools that are being thrown at you right now. If you could read the original prompt that person wrote in order to build that tool, would you use it? And I would argue that you actually wouldn't, because if you read the original prompt, "I want to build a tool that takes someone's spreadsheet and creates this and does that," you'd go, "Oh no, that's not really necessary for me. That doesn't really work for me." So right now, what's happening is we're being bombarded with a lot of information, a lot of noise, and what we need is a single clear entry point. And then once we get into AI, well, where do I go next? What's my progression route? And once I've done something in AI, how do I prove or validate that what I've done is meaningful? Another great comment I hear all the time is, and I asked someone recently why they took one of our programs, and he said, "I want to be able to have a meaningful conversation about AI." And I thought that was a great first foundation level requirement that every program should meet, which is you want to be able to have intelligent conversations, not hype, not fear, not tools, but a meaningful conversation about AI and its impact. And that's what our goal is. I always start my webinars with this single image. I have a cousin. I spent some time in the 90s in the US before college, doing all the things that Irish students do when they're away in the US for the summer, working the craziest jobs. And I happened to be from Limerick, and my cousin Jimmy had gone out there ahead of me, and he had the phone number of a builder named Eddie Sisk in New Jersey. And Eddie, literally half the kids in Limerick ended up working for Eddie out in New Jersey. They all arrived there with a sleeping bag and Eddie's phone number. And the first thing he'd say to them is, "You know how to do roofing?" And of course, they'd all lie and say yes. And he'd give them a hammer and he'd say, "Right, nailed on those three shingles there, those three tiles or whatever." And of course, he could tell instantly by the way you took the hammer from him and how you held it, whether you'd ever worked in construction. Because, like me, who's just a complete useless when it comes to DIY, I want to hold the heavy bit up there where the metal is. That's typically where everyone grabs hold of it, up there, because you want to control that heavy bit, because that can do damage and hurt you. But actually, if you know anything about construction, where you hold a hammer is actually down here at the end of the handle. And what you do is you hold it at the very end, far away from the heavy bit, and you lock your elbow and your shoulder, and it becomes this fulcrum, and you'll always hit the same spot. So my point is, and Eddie's point and Jimmy's point was, how you grab the tool in the very first place dictates whether you're going to do constructive work or destructive work. So, and the exact same with AI. How we grab it, how we approach it dictates what we produce. And what I want to do is I want to give you just a couple of how not to hold the hammer points, first of all, and then also how to hold the hammer points. So this is what AI is not. And let's just knock a few of these out of the way real quickly. AI is not a top-down IT system. It's not a new software development or software automation tool that you put in like financials or CRM or accounts payable or something like that, or HR. Neither is it intelligence. Let's just be clear on that. It is very clever pattern recognition. And anyone who's worried about AI replacing human beings, I just want to tell you that we were replaced a long time ago. So you're asking the wrong question. Your calculator replaced you 30, 40 years ago when it first came out. Excel replaced you 25 years ago when it came out. Human beings are actually a very poor evolutionary system and structure for carrying on information and computing things and storing data. We have short term bad memory. We're bad at computation beyond certain numbers. We're bad at remembering things. We're illogical. We're emotional. So don't worry about AI replacing human beings. You were replaced by your washing machine and your VCR 20 years ago, and technology passed us out a long time ago. So it's not a goal of AI to replace humanity or human beings. It's a goal of AI to do something different and to do something new. So don't be worried about intelligence, because it's a different form completely from human intelligence. It's not the end of the world. AI is not a strategy. That's a great one I heard recently. What's your strategy for AI? And the person said AI. So I said, great, that's wonderful. It's not a shortcut to expertise. I can't emphasize this enough. Stick to your knitting, stick to what you know. It's a fantastic tool to be able to ask questions if you're planning, doing, wondering, curious about anything from investment strategies to where should I live, to how much your property price is dropping to. It's a phenomenal shortcut to information, but it surely is not a shortcut to expertise, because expertise comes with time and experience and application and knowledge and learning. AI is not thinking, neither is it truth, neither is it a replacement for judgment, and neither is it a finished system that you install. It's none of those things. Let's look at some of the things that it
Ian,
is.
just
Yes.
to cut in there, I think Mario would like to ask a quick question. Are we okay with that, or do we want to
Oh,
hold
absolutely
questions to
fine.
the
And I
end?
tell you, actually, Ray, would you, because I have my slide deck on, I can't see
Sure,
the controls. So do
I'll give you a
Mario,
shout.
do jump in there.
Mario, would you like to come off mute and ask the question if you're there? Let me see. Amy, can you unmute Mario for a
Uh,
second?
Yeah, I've asked them to.
Okay, Mario, I think we've just given you permission there.
No worries.
Or Mario, if you'd like to put your question into the text, we can read it out as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Right, look, let me press on anyway and
Go
shout,
ahead.
shout if that comes through. So, having a look at what it's not, let's have a look at what it is. So, what it is supercomputing for the user. That's the first crucial thing to remember. If you, one of the things I suppose that I get asked most over the years is, what's the next big thing? And even now, people are saying, well, what's next? What's the next big thing? And we never know what's next. We never know whether it's an application or a service or a technology or a product. But what we do know is that while we may not know exactly what's coming, we do know the characteristics of it, because past behavior is the best indicator of future behavior. And what I mean by that is, there is a single characteristic to all great advances in digital technology, and that is that they give more power to the user, the consumer, the citizen. So every great leap in tech over the past 56 years has meant more power for the end user. If you think of what the web ultimately was, it's take the golden pages, the Encyclopedia Britannica, in every shop in the world and put it available at your fingertips. That was a significant, massive leap forward in the power of the consumer or the citizen or the user. If you think of the move from broadcast television, where you had to turn up on your couch at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night to watch ER or Little House on the Prairie or whatever you were watching, to go from that to Netflix, or that to YouTube, where you can have watch on demand, to go from having to go to a bookshop, which may not have what you want. You'd have weeks for it to come in, to go to Amazon, where you have the world's library at your fingertips. To go from having to go to a travel agent to booking a Ryanair flight yourself and paying it and never going near anyone else. Those were great leaps forward. To go every single step that we took, to go from buying things in a shop and selling things in ads wanted to eBay. That was a great step. To go from ringing a taxi company and hoping that the controller knew where the taxis were and would get one to you in the next hour or two, to actually being able to click a button on your phone and say, I want the taxi here on this corner now in 5 minutes. So all of these digital transformations are characterized by an increase in power for the user. And AI is exactly the same. No difference here. It is a radical leap forward in the power that's available to the end user. For 20, 30, 40, 50 euros a month, I now have a supercomputer that can work for me. And that is a massive, massive leap. Right now, if you think of this right now, and people are kind of going, okay, well, what am I going to do with all that power? I remember, and maybe think about the first time you ever saw Google Maps and you heard, oh, Google have this thing called Google Maps. And you went on there. And what was the very first thing you did? Well, you looked for your own house. We all did. That was the very first thing we did. And then we closed it and we went away from it. And we kind of thought, all right, yeah, that's cool. Google Maps. Yeah. So what? Like, but within a year or two, Google Maps became absolutely crucial. No one can find anything anymore. No one can go anywhere anymore or drive anywhere anymore without some map on their mobile, in their car, wherever it is. Those maps are now integral to everything we do, to finding a business, a shop, a chemist, a hotel, whatever it is. What's around me, what's near me, what's close by, what can I do? So it's very much right now, AI is emerged as supercomputing, and we're all wondering, wow, what can we do with this thing? And through this, I want to give you a few ideas and get you excited about this. So just so you're aware, AI is pattern recognition at scale. It basically is based on a principle of what's the next logical word in a sentence. A man walked into a what? And AI will take that sentence and run it through 1 trillion sentences in all of the training data that it has, and realize that 80% of the time a man walked into a bar. A man walked into a bar and ordered a blank. It'll run another 1 trillion sentences of data and training and find out, oh, well, 70% of the time he ordered a drink. So AI is massive scale pattern recognition. What's next? What's the next logical thing? It's done at such power and at such speed that we think it's intelligence, but it's not. It's just pattern recognition. It is definitely, I won't labor capability and tool, I won't worry about that. A way of accelerating output, absolutely. A mirror of your thinking is one of the best ways of describing what AI is right now, because what you give it is utterly and completely more important than what it gives you. And this is what will be one of your first real dawning moments when it comes to AI, is you will realize that it's actually a mirror of your thinking. So you ask it at the question, you phrase it, you write the prompt, you give it the context, you give it the information, and you'll really see its power at work once you learn how to actually talk about it and express what is in your mind. Probabilistic uncertain, only as good as the user, definitely. A force multiplier for competence, and a system that requires validation. Can't emphasize that enough. It is not a top-down IT implementation. And here is the I suppose, most important purpose of today's presentation. It's a bottom-up discovery process that leverages each individual's domain knowledge. It needs a human in the loop or a human in the lead, and not a cog in the machine. We are used to seeing technology automate things and seeing our role reduced to inputs and outputs, whereas actually AI is not just about simple automation. It's not an IT system. And by the way, this is where most companies start and stop when it comes to AI. It was Harvard, I think, or Sloan Management Review that did a fascinating study last November in the US and released a headline that said 95% of AI projects produced nothing. When they did an assessment and a survey of companies that had rolled out AI, they found that the impact was nil. And if you read the detail, you would realize, and I can provide the link to this, that the reason they failed, the number one reason they fail, is because they tried a top-down IT implementation style approach. as in the senior leaders get together, define what functionality is going to be automated, roll that down through the business and tell everyone, get out of the way, now do this and feed this. And that's not how AI works. And that's why it fails most. And also, they jumped over 2 or 3 key steps in jumping straight to automation. So I'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. Not going to worry about that. So I want you to have a quick think about this just while I move forward. Where are you? So I want you to locate yourself in AI in your mind right now. Are you at what we would call the 3 stages right now? So number 1, are you just experimenting? I'm using it like writing emails, preparing PowerPoints, collating data, doing research, finding hotels, where's the best flight, where's the best this, where's the best that, help me with a best man speech. My father is 83, what should I get him for his birthday? So that's the experimenting, dabbling stage. Vast majority of us are at that stage, by the way, so don't worry. Embedding is then deliberately actually putting AI into how you work in terms of, right, refining context means I'm giving it clear instructions. I'm giving it documents, spreadsheets, data, information. I'm asking it to find out, discover, understand, compile across multiple tasks or areas. And then also I'm also then repeating those. Do that every Monday, do it every Tuesday. Come back to me with this every Wednesday. Stage 3 then would be I'm actually replicating or replacing or creating new workflows within the business to allow freedom of movement and information and people and product. And I've got agents running that are doing work for me or for my team, and really changing work in terms of how we do. So is there, I don't know if we could Amy, can we stick a poll in real quick, or is that a big job? We might have a think about that while I roll on to the next slide, and I'll come back to it. So really just want to get a sense of where people are at in terms of, are you experimenting, embedding, or transforming? Most people are somewhere between 1 and 2 in general, but this might be a very special crowd. So I will hang on. So wherever you are, that's where you are. End of story. Absolution is available. 3 Hail Marys, 2 Our Fathers, and you'll never do it again. And start is the key thing. So no matter where you are on the spectrum, the most important thing is that you are moving, but move with a map. And this is the map that I want to try and give you. So as part of the curriculum within the program that we developed, our series of certification standards, we never just teach content, we teach process. So there's no point in giving people information unless you give them the means and the mechanism by which they can apply that information. So whenever we build our learning programs, we build a learning process as part of it, so that there's no point in just giving you stacks of data and dates unless I can actually give you information that you can apply in a clear context with a clear process, with a clear roadmap ahead of you. That was what the A5 blueprint is. And what it is, it's a 5-step, and it's actually an iterative process. This is probably a better way to look at it. It goes from advocacy to assistance to automation to agility to advantage. And what we've seen as we've worked with businesses and companies and educators is that there is a route through which both individuals and companies typically move in their adoption of AI. So I want to give you this. I want to recommend that you use it as a framework within which you can move into AI. I'm also going to recommend that you use it as a step-by-step process and don't jump steps, because the problem right now is most people are coming into most companies who have IT departments who are bringing AI to bear. They start with step 3, which is automation. They go straight into a very familiar place, which is, I'm going to take something that we do and I'm going to automate it with technology. Because why? Well, because that's what technology does. We automate things. We make our financials smoother. We make our shipping better. We make our product development better. We make our accounts payable faster. We make our operations team move information better, or move data, or move product. So we're good at automating things. We're very comfortable there. We have a lot of skills and expertise there. But I would argue that there's 2 steps before that which we're missing out on. The first step within this is just let me give you another quick run through. We'll say how the blueprint works and what it is.
The poll results are in, sorry, Ian, for
Oh yeah, grand,
interruption.
super stuff.
We have 47% in experimenting,
Brilliant.
40% in embedding, and 13% in transforming.
Wonderful. That's great. That's just about exactly what I'd expect. That's fantastic. So most people right now, when it comes to AI, that's a good half of the people here are experimenting, experimenting, getting to know it. What will I do with it? How will I use it? Trying things, playing with things. And really what I want to do, and for people who are embedding as well, is I want to give you a route map and a roadmap to follow to start moving you further into the AI route and into the AI story. And people who are in transforming, what I want to do is actually give you a way of assessing the impact and effectiveness of what you're doing. And I'll jump back to my slides and explain that. Thanks a million for that, folks. So what the A5 blueprint is actually it's a very practical methodology for putting AI to work in your organization. So it maps a journey, and it is a journey of individuals, and it's a journey that you take as a business. So it's a maturity model. First of all, where are you now, and what's your next logical step to take so that you're going to get the most benefit out of it. It starts by very much putting people. Folks, for some reason, my computer just disconnected me there. I'm back anyway live, Amy, am I?
Yeah, you're all good now. You just need to share your screen again.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks a million. Starts delivery with people before technology. That's a crucial aspect of this. It's sequential and cumulative, so you earn the right to the next phase. And it's also providing people a shared language so that we can both diagnose, plan, and talk about AI together in terms of how we're working and stuff like that. So let me just have a quick jump back to it again. So what do I mean by advocacy? Okay, so
You just need
first
to
of
share
all,
your slides, share your screen, sorry, Ian.
sorry guys, sorry.
Thanks, Keith.
Share. No worries. Thanks a million, guys.
Yeah, that's you now.
Visible, super great stuff. So what do we mean by advocacy? So it's very simple. I mean, there's in every department right now, in every organization, every business, there are people, whether you know it or not, or whether they're telling you or not. And you may be that person in your department or in your organization who is advocating for AI, who is beginning to build understanding and trying to apply AI within their own work or in their own domain. And what's happening is that right now, for a lot of people, it's happening secretly because most, so I won't say most, I know anecdotally, I'm talking to a lot of people who are telling me that, oh, we're not allowed to have that in our business. We're not allowed to subscribe to that. We're not allowed to. And I think back to 1999 when the web came out, and I remember meeting people saying, oh, no, we're not allowed to have web browsers on our computers. And that's fine. That's an initial fear reaction and a risk reaction to what is a disruptive technology. So I'm not going to knock people for that. You have to have guardrails and you have to have clarity as to, well, what are you doing with it or where you're going? But right now, of all of the advocates and all of the people who are using AI, many of them are bringing spreadsheets home, using it on their home laptop, stuffing it into Claude, letting Claude do a whole bunch of work, putting it back onto a memory stick or emailing it to themselves and then using it inside in work. Or some of them are just inside in work and just dumping whole piles of information into Claude and doing all kinds of things in ChatGPT or whatever it is. Some people are designers and they're using tools. Some people are financial people, and they're using a whole bunch of financial tools. Some people are writing proposals and doing competitive analysis and looking at their competitors, looking at product comparisons. Someone was telling me the other day, oh, I was able to use Claude. I gave it all of our key product attributes and all of our information about how we build them, make them, do them, design them, roll them out. And I said, find me our biggest competitors and find me a market we could expand into. And I said, and does your boss know you're doing that? Oh God, no. I didn't tell anyone that. I'd get killed. So what we have right now is we have a whole raft of quiet advocates inside in a lot of businesses and a whole raft of noisy advocates in some businesses. And the first thing I would suggest that you do is come out of the closet, is actually become the advocate for AI within your department. Start having the conversation with your colleagues and your boss or bosses or stakeholders or sponsors or mentors about how you think it can impact what you're doing. A lot of people are out there at the moment saying, hey, you know what? I'm saving myself 3 hours a day. I'm saying nothing. To those people, I would just say, you'll get away with that only for so long till everyone realizes that you're actually doing it and knows that your knees are always green from playing golf or whatever it is you're doing. But it's time to bring AI out of the closet and your use of AI out of the closet and start talking about it. And a lot of people are saying, oh, well, if I tell them what I'm doing, I'll get fired. No, you won't. The one thing that you have to understand about companies, and I've run a fair few companies at this stage, so I know this. A company is not a stationary thing. A company is a car moving down a highway at 120 kilometers an hour, and it is always moving. And when anyone wants to make a change to that car or make a change to the oil or change a wheel or change a tire, they don't have the luxury of you and I, like we drive to the mechanics and we drive into the mechanic's garage and he turns off the engine and he raises the car on a hoist and he changes the oil or changes the wheels. In most businesses, in order to make a change, the mechanic is in the car while it's driving down the road at 120 kilometers an hour, and he's hanging out the window by the skin of his or her teeth, trying to tighten a nut on a wheel that's spinning at 120 kilometers an hour, or reaching underneath the car to try and loosen and change the oil while the engine is running. So businesses and companies are very dynamic systems. They cannot change quickly and they cannot change fast. And nothing you do today is suddenly going to shut the whole business down tomorrow. So don't be afraid of revealing your AI work and your AI activities in your business and start the conversation and be the advocate and be the person who pushes for, look, I've discovered these efficiencies, or I've discovered a way to save money, or I've discovered a way to make money, or I've discovered a way actually could be better at what we're doing. And I've written these prompts and I've tried it here. Now, what I would encourage people to do, and I'd encourage you if you're a manager, is issue an amnesty, a company-wide amnesty for people to come forward and say, listen, no one's going to get kicked, no one's going to get fired, no one's in trouble, but let's start talking about AI. Let's start having advocates for AI in each department, in each area, in each field, in each specialty. I have friends one of the friends of graphic designer, he's using AI morning, noon, and night and not telling anyone about it, not even his colleagues. Because he doesn't feel secure yet or comfortable yet revealing what he's doing, because he's afraid people will value what he does less. And that's a common conundrum, but that's not going to happen instantly or overnight. And this ogre of suddenly everyone's going to get fired from your department, not true. That's not how companies in general operate. And if it's a massively inefficient company with huge fat and you're all sitting around scratching yourselves and easily replaced by AI, well, the quicker that happens, the better. But for the most part, advocacy is where we start with AI. It's a bottom-up approach. In other words, the most effective way to introduce AI to business is start with individuals and every aspect and department of the business, is to go to the designers and say, what are you using for design? Go to the financial people, what are you using for finance? Go to operations, what are you using for operations? Go to product development, go to each department and find advocates in each department, or be the department and say, hey, I'm doing this and I'm using this and I'm finding this works. And that type of a bottom-up approach, that granular, is much more effective, because typically if you have a top-down approach which identifies these are the things we want to do, this is how we're going to do it, now roll it out, it hits a brick wall very quickly, because adoption won't be good, belief in it won't be good, buy-in won't be good. the reason for doing it won't be transparent. So I've seen a lot of businesses do a top-down cost-cutting, productivity style exercise, use AI, and everyone's sitting going, I ain't doing that. So it's very much a BYOAI, BYOB, bring your own beer, BYOAI, bring your own AI to work approach, which means that you start to trust people and you start to engage with them and you start to have real conversations with your colleagues and with your management about how AI is impacting you, because believe me, they're just as terrified of this as you are, and we need to get ahead of it. We need to understand how it's going to impact us. So if people are worried, there's very simple guardrails you can put in place, that companies can put in place in order to ensure privacy and data. And for most companies, by the way, when it comes to data protection, any of the AI systems that are being used fall under the safe harbor agreements between the EU and the US. So we'll say, for example, we're a data controller, a data gatherer. We have to meet the requirements of GDPR in Europe. That's fine. As part of that, you can have client and customer information on American servers because there's a safe harbor agreement between the two countries. So for the most, a lot of our fears about the data and whether it's going to get released are a little bit overblown. We're right to be cautious, we're right to be careful, but I would just say that it's being used as an excuse rather than an opportunity. And it's very easy to put guardrails and anonymization techniques in place. But all AI starts with advocacy. It starts with curiosity. It starts with an individual, and it's the best place to start because it is with the people at the coalface in your business that you will see immediate impact. An IT type style top-down implementation can take 18 months before there's any impact. People at the coalface and how they're working today, that's a great place to start to learn and see what AI can do in the business. So that's step one, and advocacy, and that's basically personal curiosity. Step two then is where we all enter into when it comes to AI. This was all of our starting points, and this is where every business starts as well, is we start to use it as an assistant. So it's AI as an assistant. So help me do something. Help me be faster, be more productive, be more understanding, help me get on top of this data, help me find opportunities, help me understand customers, help me understand challenges, finance, cash flow. So we use it as an assistant. We start to lean into the computing power that's available to us. And the most important part of it is we start to actually create context. Each of the modules of our program maps into this five-step wheel, by the way. And so module 2 on our professional diploma, for example, is prompt writing. So in other words, how do I write decent prompts so that I can get good assistance and get good help from the AI system that I use. The third module is context engineering. Now, there's no engineering there. It's actually just about defining context for AI engines so that they can help you even better. And this comes back to my earlier point about what you give AI is just as important as what it gives you. Because if you give it clear parameters, clear boundaries, a clear lump of data and information, the quality of what comes out of it radically improves and is hugely different. Right now, we're all drowning under the avalanche of AI generated bump and pulp and rubbish. And I receive information every few days from various companies, from friends, from everyone who has, I ran this prompt and basically here's what I got. Here's a 10-page marketing strategy for you. You should read this. And I'm like, oh, really? Do I have to read the 10 pages? So one of the most important things that we can start to do as we become advocates and as we come out of the dark is we start to share the prompt. One of the most effective things that people in a department can do is not share the output, share the prompt. It's the old teach a person to fish. You know what I mean? I can give you fish or I can teach you how to fish. So a lot of time is being wasted by having people trawl through AI generated stuff. And I'll give you an example of this. We work very closely with Enterprise Ireland and with their network of offices around the world. And I was in South Africa about 5 or 6 months ago, meeting the EI team in South Africa about signing up partner education institutes in South Africa. And I met the head of the office there, and she said, look, there's only 4 of us. So she said, we have a small team, so the amount of help we can give you in terms of finding and researching partners is fairly limited. And I said, okay, I said, I didn't want you to do that. And they were like, oh, okay, well, what do you want us to do? And I said, well, why don't I share my prompt? And that will give you an insight into what it is I'm trying to do. And she looked at me absolutely surprised. She said, you're the very first person who's ever said that to me. And I said, well, look, the prompt is the best indicator of my thinking and my knowledge and my understanding and my experience that I can possibly show you. If I show you the output of the prompt, well, then you're going to have to kind of decide, well, what's important to Ian here? What's he really looking for? Okay, I see what he's produced a list of 50 colleges in South Africa, but are they all important? Is there progression? Is there prioritization? Is there size? Is there scale? Are there conditions? What is it exactly he's looking for? I have a list of 50 colleges. So I shared the prompt. And in the prompt, and it was a 2 or 3 page prompt with about 5 attached documents, which showed our pedagogy, our curriculum, our course blueprints, our modules, our syllabus advisory council, all the things we teach, how we derive it, where we get it from. And then I wrote a prompt saying, look, I'm looking to identify colleges in South Africa that would be suitable partners for us in order to teach this program at this level to this type of audience. And the prompt showed everything that was was our commercial priority. Everything about our thinking, everything about our awareness, everything about our understanding of the South African market. And in reading the prompt, she was able to tell instantly, oh, actually, yeah, I see, but you haven't been in the South African market in 10 years. You don't understand that this has now changed and that's now gone. And the government now do this, and this is now a new role or a new regulation or new whatever. So that ability to actually shine some light on this and open up the prompt and share the prompt across a team and across people is one of the most powerful things you can do in AI right now. So I'll give you another example. When we created Digital Marketing Institute a good 15 years ago, we worked with a whole bunch of US colleges who started teaching our program, but it took us 2 years to identify those colleges and to roll out our program. And this time, myself and Ray, our sales director, and Alicia, who's our head of certification, and Megan, who's the head of product, and Amy, who's the head of operations, we all got together and we basically spent an afternoon or a morning writing the prompt together. We were all able to say, right, for me, okay, pedagogically, they have to be sound. They have to be able to teach at this level. For Ray, oh, they have to be good and strong in their market and good at sales. For operations, they have to be a good team of lecturers and a good administration and management team. So over the space of a few hours, we created the prompt. And that's what allowed us to then create a list of priorities and a list of targets for who we wanted to actually partner with and work with. But it was all of us working together created a really meaningful prompt in order to get the best out of AI. And so what I'd encourage you today is, whether you're dabbling or whether you're embedding, really start sharing the prompt. Start engaging with your colleagues from different departments as well about how you're structuring and finding ways forward and ways for AI to help. It's a crucial one. So we go from advocacy. We very quickly use it as an assistant. We start by using it as a replacement for Google. And then as we learn context engineering, as we learn how to give AI more information than we receive, we then really see its power. And one of the ways to unlock that is to start to share the prompt with each other. In that sense, write the prompt together. Enterprise Ireland, South Africa. I'll give you these slides afterwards. There's more detail on there. So once we have rouse that curiosity and become advocates for AI in our life and in our business, and once we start using it as an assistant, we then very quickly can make a leap into the next phase. And it happens. I remember when it happened for me about a year and a half ago, where I was looking for a synopsis of rugby results for the weekend on a Monday, saying, oh, there was a whole bunch of European rugby matches this weekend, and I'm a rugby lunatic. And I said, what were the matches, who played, what were the scores, and what were the key points in each match, and who played really well? What did the manager say in the news items afterwards? And will you find me some links to some YouTube highlights reels of the games? And I ran this on a Monday morning and got my information. It was fantastic. Sat down with my sandwich at lunchtime and started watching a few of the videos. And then literally in my head went, oh, why don't I just ask it to do this every Monday? And it was the most stupid, silly. And I just went, oh, wow, that's stupid. Why didn't you think of that before? But that was the point at which I moved from assistance to automation. And I never went back. And once you cross that line from using it as an assistant to using it to automate things, it is the beginning of real AI maturity. Is now you start to really see the power behind supercomputing when you can actually start to have it automate things for you on a daily, weekly, by minute, by the second, by the hour, by the month basis. And you start giving it more information, and you start to see how tasks can be automated and tasks can be broken down. Inside in our professional diploma, one of the tools that we teach people how to use is a tool called N8N, which is an automation tool. And everyone who starts on the opening day, or when they start looking at that actual program, they immediately go, "Oh God, this looks very complex. There's a lot of work here." And I remember being in the class one day and asking someone for a great example, and it was someone who wanted to write a daily video, a daily blog, and make it a daily video. And we went into N8N and N8N, and we started to set up, say, okay, what do you want to do? I want to write a blog every day. What's it about? Oh, it's going to be about pharmaceutical industry, and it's going to be about the impacts of AI in pharmaceuticals. Okay, great. So what do you want N8N to do? I want you to do research every morning on the 5 breaking stories in pharmaceutical industry related to this particular area. Okay, great. Here's 5 stories. Where will I store them? Oh, store them in a Google Doc. What's your Google login? Okay, there's the Google login and the password into the Google Docs. Great. There's the document in that folder. Store them there. Great. What do you want me to do then? Oh, well, based on those 5 stories, I want you to write a synopsis and I want you to email it to me. Okay, where will I store the synopsis? On the Google Doc and another Google Doc. Great. You want me to email it to you at what address? At this address. Great. Okay. When you get the email, what you want to do? I said, I want to approve it or edit it. Okay. So I want 2 buttons to say approve or edit. Wonderful. And off I go. And then I edit it and I approve it. And what do you want N8N to do then? Well, I want you to write a blog post and find an image. Where will I find the image? Where will I store it? What's the login to your blog? And this is all vibe coding. This is non-technical, non-engineering, non-computing language, simple question and answer approach to where's it going, what you want to do with it. And eventually we built a 28-step process that wrote a script, recorded a video, populated the YouTube channel, posted it on the blog, filled out social media. And here was this 28 automation step that was going to happen once a day and hit. And then by exception, we added in some quality assurance checks. Okay, check to make sure that once this has happened, if the blog isn't live within a minute, there's a problem, review it and stuff like that. So the automation possibilities are absolutely endless within AI. The application building possibilities to be able to and by the way, it's not just dumb automation. We're talking about smart automation as well, in the sense that dumb automation is the idea of making something and just producing an input and an output. Smart automation is, well, change the inputs and change the outputs depending on certain criteria, certain conditions, certain information, certain people, and the ability to branch off in multiple different ways. So automation is applied selectively to improve efficiency without losing oversight or accuracy.
Sorry, Ian.
Yeah.
That's 4 o'clock now, just to keep you on time.
Oh, sorry about that. Right. Okay. So let me just jump into 4 is agility. So once I'm automating things, the next most important thing I need to do is I need to now start looking across my organization and looking at information in other silos, in other departments. And how can I use my automations to actually access information across the business to make it even more intelligent in terms of the automations that I'm building. So we move from advocacy to assistance to automation to agility, which is about really crossing boundaries in your business. But the most important thing about that is and culturally decision making moves closer to the work. So in other words, the people who are doing the work are more important than the people managing the work. Just one quick point on that, just to flag it. So we get to agility. We start to use it further beyond our own departments and within our organization. And finally, we move out beyond our business into the marketplace to advantage. And what that is about is using AI as a source of competitive advantage, whether that is in comparative work against competitors, whether it is improving the capabilities of the products that we currently provide, whether it's the way we work, whether it's the way we interact with customers. And it's again a huge opportunity for differentiation. And the businesses that actually start adopting AI, moving through a process like this in a structured fashion, both at a personal and a business level, are the ones who are going to lead their industry out of whatever kind of economic straits we're facing right now. And we are facing a difficult economic time. What I have here is, and I'm going to make it available to guys, is a case study of the 5 phases at a glance in action across a company called Brightwater, and how it was rolled out and how it worked through the business. And what I'll do is I'm going to circulate that to everybody afterwards, so I don't go through it right now. But let me just roll back up here real quickly and come back to this point here. Is that what we want to give people through our programs and through these webinars is an entry point into AI, a place to start, a place to grab the tool properly and grab it in a way that means we're going to do productive work. The starting point for that is to focus on the people within your organization and the individuals within your organization who are advocates or curious about AI, and allow them the freedom to start to use AI initially on assistance, on help, on baby steps. And as they grow, move into automation. And as they move past automation, move into agility across the whole business. And then eventually end up out in the marketplace using AI as a differentiator. And that eventually rolls all the way full around back to advocacy again. It's a never-ending virtuous circle and a cycle and a map and a pathway. Now, there is a document, I think it's about 25-page version of the A5 framework, which I'm happy to make available to people. And what I'll do is I'll have Amy capture information from anybody who wants access to that. It's a deep dive into the blueprint, and it even has things like how to actually organize workshops so that you can gather people of like mind together, how to identify opportunities for assistance and automation, how to overcome barriers when you're trying to break through agility, and how to use it as a real competitive advantage in the marketplace as well. So we'll happily make that available to people as a follow-up to this particular presentation. So what I'll do now is I'm going to pause, I'm going to shut up, I'm going to throw the floor open. If people need to go at this point, there's no problem. We can follow up. Myself or Ray or any of the team are available for questions, for answers afterwards, or for a chat. If anybody would like to book a call with us, go on to becomeaicertified.com. And any of the book a call functions on any of the pages there, you'll be able to book a call and have a chat with us if you want any more detail or information about solutions that we provide both individually and to companies and stuff like that. If there's any questions at this stage, I'll happily take them. So I shall be quiet for a moment while people consider. So there was one, actually, I got an email earlier on, was it? So now I'll have a look at this. Where's it gone? Not thinking. No, it's gone. Sorry, I thought there was one there. Right, I think we're good. If there's no questions, folks, feel free to contact us. We're available to you. And we have a schedule of upcoming webinars, which we'll post on the website. And Amy has actually just posted there a few minutes ago a SurveyMonkey link if people wouldn't mind filling it out. And happy to forward the document over to anybody who needs it. So we leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Ian.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.